Our current topic, corresponding angles. Corresponding angles are formed when two parallel lines are cut by a transversal. So in the diagram below, our parallel lines are M and N cut by the transversal of P. Now what I like to do is I like to think about each intersection of the parallel line and the transversal as a picture frame. What corresponding angles are angles that are in the same position regarding the transversal and the parallel line that it is formed by. So if you think about this picture frame here, you can take, let's start with angle 2 here. So angle 2 is in the top right hand side of the picture frame. So if you look at the picture frame below with angles 5, 6, 7, and 8, to find the corresponding angle, you just need to figure out which angle is in the top right of that picture frame. And that is angle 6. So the thing with corresponding angles is that they are congruent. So angle 2 is congruent to angle 6. If angle 2 were to have a measurement of, let's say, 75 degrees, then angle 6 would also have a measurement of 75 degrees. So there's more sets of corresponding angles here. If we look at angle 1, its corresponding angle, it is in the top left-hand side of this picture frame or this intersection. So if you look at the second intersection or the second picture frame, angle 5 is the angle that is in the top left. That means that angle 1 is congruent to angle 5. That means if angle 1, let's say this was x plus 20 degrees, that would mean that angle 5 is also x plus 20 degrees. 4 and 8 are corresponding angles. They're congruent to each other. They're both in the bottom right-hand side of this intersection or picture frame. And last but not least, angle 3 is congruent to angle 7. They are both in the bottom left-hand side of this picture frame. So just a little practice problem for you. If the measure of angle 3 equals 68 degrees, what is the measure of angle 7? I encourage you to pause this for a second to think through what your answer would be to this problem. So the measure of angle 7 is also going to be 68 degrees. These angles right here are corresponding, which means that they would be vertical to one another. Now, if the measure of angle 4 is 122 degrees, what is the measure of angle 8? Go ahead and pause it, figure out what your answer will be. Okay, now that you've had a time to think, if the measure of angle 4 is going to be 122 degrees, we know that its corresponding angle is going to be congruent, so this is also going to be 122 degrees. So we have our corresponding angles. So one other thing with corresponding angles here is that within the corresponding angles, there's also some vertical angles. So you see what I did here, angle 2 and 3, they're vertical to each other, so they're congruent. Angles 6 and 7 are vertical, so they're congruent. So really, in this picture right here, angle 2, angle 3, angle 6, and angle 7 are all congruent to each other. That also means angle 1 and angle 4 are vertical to each other. Angle 5 and angle 8 are vertical to each other, so they're all congruent to one another. Just to recap that, angle 2 is congruent to angle 3, which is also congruent to angle 6, which is also congruent to angle 7. Angle 1 is congruent to angle 4, which is also congruent to angle 5, which is also congruent to angle 8.